Hello there, and welcome to Fixing the Sequel Trilogy, the Writers' Room podcast dedicated to fixing the Star Wars sequels. I'm Bryce Quinn, and I'm joined by Emily Holden, one of our guest hosts. Thank you so much for coming on again, Emily.
Thank you so much for having me back today.
And we're also joined by our lead writer, Carmelo Keating. How you doing, Mello?
I'm good. I'm back.
You're back?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you were off last week
Yeah,
for,
I
you were
was.
out shooting a short film in Lightning Ridge, a hick town in central Queensland.
No, Lightning Ridge was quite nice. It
was lovely out there?
It's a wild place.
Well, sorry to anyone
real
in Lightning Ridge
characters.
that I insulted.
If they're watching this, but hey, no, go look up Lightning Ridge. Go visit it.
Sure.
Yeah.
How's our progress going, Mello?
No, good. Can I talk about the interesting thing that we've all got coming up?
I talked about it last week on the show.
Okay, yeah, so we're doing this Writers' Room thing coming up, and in anticipation for that, I've been scrutinizing everything, which has led me to make a treatment that is wildly different.
Fantastic.
Everything we've done.
That's the whole point.
far,
We love
yeah.
to kill our darlings. We love to pretend that we're writers here, even though we're totally not. This is our episode on Han Solo. We're talking about the roguish, smuggler, ace pilot, and general of the rebellion. And of course, how could we talk about Han without mentioning his better half, Chewbacca? What you got, Mello?
No, that was it. I was raising my hand because I thought, has he forgotten Chewie?
No, of course not.
Han and Chewie.
So
episode.
let's chat about Han Solo through the ages and how he's been portrayed on and off screen. Mello, you'll start.
Am I doing that? No, because you do always do your background, your metatextual.
So I've actually gotten a lot shorter with my background
Yeah,
stuff.
right.
So you do it.
Okay, rightio. Han Solo, the classic sort of like roguish, devil may care sort of character, meant to be, this anti-hero who's got a heart of gold secretly, and it doesn't really take all that much to
kind of see it, yeah.
Yeah.
You
and
get to that
then-
by the end of the first movie.
Yeah, and then his sidekick Chewie. And what can we say about Chewie except Chewie?
It's just Chewbacca.
Violent.
It's fantastic. Yeah, that too. It's
Violent.
awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
Chewbacca's just happy to be here.
yeah,
You know?
you got your droids, and your droids need to be translated, and he's literally just his.
You know what?
equivalent.
He actually kind of fills the exact same narrative space as a as a droid.
He does. Well, yeah, because you always need someone to be there to translate for him.
On screen, Han Solo he's Han Solo. He's Harrison Ford. He's Indiana Jones. We kind of lump all these ideas together of this 80s caricature of like the roguish side character who
Yeah.
everyone loves and it's secretly their favorite character. You know what I mean? So that's Han Solo. And in A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, that's who he was. And by the end of Return of the Jedi, he's a full-on good dude. He's a hero who loves Leia. And that's a pretty cool arc. And it's fun. It's nothing too deep. It's nothing too serious. It's still silly. It's still comic relief. But we love him for it. And him and Chewie are beyond iconic, as many of the characters are in Star Wars. So that's who he is. That's who he is on screen. Hit us with some of the stuff that I don't know because I don't read the books or the comics.
You want more? Okay.
What's kind of going on
right.
behind the scenes of Han that maybe some of the more dedicated Star Wars fans would know
That's
about?
a really interesting question because like a lot of that is kind of a lot of what previously existed was kind of torn down and rebuilt in Solo. A lot of the origins.
Yeah,
And stuff there.
but we can get into Solo as well. I
Um,
know you've just rewatched parts of Solo and stuff, so you're excited to talk about Emily.
Well, honestly, a lot of Solo, I think it was really good and fleshes out why he's the way he was. Like, his relationship with the Empire makes so much sense because when you see him come into, like, the original 3 movies, he's like, I'm not on either side. And you're like, really? You really have nothing against
Yeah.
the overlords? And I think Solo just really kind of nicely fits it in where the recent movies haven't so much.
Yeah, so he's
Like-
very much in Solo, and it sets it up for the start of A New Hope. He is a neutral character. He's about himself. He's for himself. It's him and
Yeah.
Chewie against the world.
Explains
you know?
how he got, like, the last name and everything, which...
Oh, we love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like such like an obvious thing. Like, it didn't even click in my mind until like you're watching the scene and he's like, last name, I don't have one, Solo, and you're like, oh my god.
I don't know if you
have
know this,
I
Emily, but
not?
people famously hate that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was
yeah.
like, that doesn't even.
So
like,
a lot of the
surprise
reasons people
me.
hate Solo is because of the dice. They come into the movie. They're like a big part of it. He gets his gun, which is
The
a
dice.
deconstructed part of a sniper rifle. And he also gets his last name. And people are like, why did we need any of these things? in
Yeah,
Solo?
well, my thing, I was just disappointed in myself that I never put Solo together throughout the movies. I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm stupid.
Well, that was never really the intention. I think it was just a space name.
It's a cool name. It
And
doesn't have
that
to be
was-
deeper than that.
Did not
but
have to be contextualized.
They wanted to do it. They wanted to make it something. And then they did it.
Yeah.
And you can't stop
the
them now.
the 2 actually.
Well,
Yeah.
can we?
Can
Well, can we? Is that
Okay,
not-
that's the point of the show, yeah.
I was gonna say the 1, and then I thought the 2. No, the 3 good origin things from that film is how he meets Lando, how he gets together with Chewie, and the Falcon.
Well, I guess we're talking about
Those
Solo now.
3 things.
I like the Falcon. I like Lando. I don't like Chewie. I don't like how him and Chewie meet. It's just a bit silly to me. I don't know. I just didn't like
But
it.
Chewie
Well,
was gonna eat him. I think that's great.
Okay.
How would I mean? Yeah, I mean, I like the violence. I like that Chewie was violent from the start. Like, wouldn't change him. That's how he was. But how would you have met? How would you have?
I guess, yeah, I don't really have anything constructive for that because I'm just thinking about it now. But drops into a cage with Chewie. Chewie goes to eat him. He doesn't eat him because he speaks Wookiee.
He's like broken Sherry
He
Wolf. Yeah.
speaks Shiriwook, and then it's like, okay, I guess they're best friends now.
Yeah.
And it just feels kind of weaker than the motivation should be for them to be the best friends, the iconic Chewie that they are. I
think
feel
they
like it
called
should be a
it-
You
stronger
know-
part of the movie.
Well, I'm surprised they didn't do, and again, this might be wrong and I might be imagining someone else, but I'm pretty sure Chewbacca's also in Clone Wars.
Oh,
He
yeah.
is.
He's
He
in
is.
the prequels
Like-
as well, yeah.
Yeah, him and Ahsoka's meeting is what I thought they would have done for Han Solo, like something along that line on how they met, like in their whole origin story. And then I was like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
it is what it is.
it's simple.
Yeah. You know that episode?
No.
No?
I
Okay.
don't watch
Nah, that's
Clone
right.
Wars.
Yeah.
Is it good? Do you guys like that episode? Or?
I like all of it.
I think it's one of the it's season 4, really strong season. I think it's one of the weaker episodes in that, but it's still cool. Chewie's just basically being hunted by Trandoshans.
Yeah.
You know, Wookiees and Trandoshans, they hate each other. And then so is Ahsoka as well. She's in the mix and she kind
Yeah.
of just helps him escape.
Which I feel like is a solid foundation for a friendship
Yeah.
instead of just like speak the same language.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, like I feel like it was pretty solid.
Well, congratulations, guys. It's our earliest derail in the show so far. You've done great.
Anyway, Solo, not that bad of a film. I like it.
We all like Solo, I
Yeah.
think we can happily say. It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
But in terms of extended universe stuff,
Yeah.
have you got anything to add?
Okay, so here's the thing, Bryce. And this is going to be real dicey with the audience. Han Solo is, to me, one of the least engaging characters.
That's right. You're not really a big on Han Solo.
Yeah, well, not
getting a big reaction
not,
from
not in,
everyone
Fine,
here.
not
it's
in
fine, I'm
general,
fine.
just in that original cast. So
Yeah.
I don't know too much about the background. I know a lot
Ah.
about beyond Episode 6. That's what happens there in the expanded universe.
He builds a flight academy or something, right? Is that what
I have
happens?
no idea.
Oh, does he become a racer? Isn't he a racer in the books before the start of Force Awakens?
Yeah. Okay. So I think in Bloodline. Yeah. he
in
has,
Bloodline,
some
he's
sort
like a
of
professional speed racer.
racing career or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think I just know more about like what happens with he's got his children, and then I know like Chewie's demise with that saving people on that moon. Do you know about that?
No.
Okay, so like I think this is some big fuck up that Anakin Solo made, but they're rescuing people from this
Did
Anakin.
you say Anakin Solo?
Anakin Solo.
I'd have never heard those
That's the
words before.
eldest son.
Well, there you go. How many
Anakin-
kids do they have in the extended lore?
3. They got eldest son, then they got Jason and Jaina Solo.
Ah.
They're the twins.
Named him Anakin?
Anakin, yeah.
That's sweet.
That's kind of weird, but
It's
that's
a little
yeah.
creepy,
That's
Yeah,
fine. We'll
well,
move on.
'cause-
especially for a guy who killed a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Well, because Ben was taken, Luke took Ben because they had
Oh,
more of a connection.
gosh.
to that.
So Luke had a kid?
Called Ben Skywalker.
Really?
I believe so. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, it's not canon anymore. But
And
yeah,
then they go to a moon and Chewie dies.
yeah, they're rescuing people in the Falcon, and then like Anakin has to take off because otherwise they're all gonna explode, and Chewie's the last one left.
Ugh.
And Chewie just like goes, and there's this comic strip of him just like there, and it's like the moon explodes from underneath him.
That's pretty metal.
We know.
Yeah, I know. So it's
See-
not Han, it's Chewie that dies in the original.
See, in my brain, Chewie never dies. Ever.
Yeah,
Ever. The universe ends, Chewie does not.
Chewie is eternal.
just floating in space.
Yeah. So
But,
that's
look, I don't know too much.
You don't know
man.
too much about
No,
these?
Not really.
Okay.
Like he started working for Jabba at some point.
okay. Like
Well,
before the start of
Yeah, obviously,
obviously.
and that's still canon. He starts working for Jabba, and
I guess what we get
Yeah.
from this is there isn't, I don't know, maybe a whole lot to say about Han extended lore, and even on screen, he's kind of a simple guy. He likes money. He has a heart of gold, but it's hidden beneath, greed, and then that gets shaved away by Leia and Luke over the course of the movies, and he becomes a good dude, and that's about as deep as it
look,
gets.
yeah, for a character that was really pushing for, and kind of the original story shapes it, that he's meant to die at the end of Empire.
Yes.
You know?
So very similar to Poe Dameron in a way that he was supposed to die in one of the movies, and Harrison Ford wanted him to die
So
in that
badly.
movie. Yeah, he was like, no, kill him off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they made more money without killing him
Mhm.
off, and they.
I mean, I remember reading a lot about him. That one of Harrison's reason was like he doesn't push the story along.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
And
serve a
Harrison Ford,
purpose.
being who he is, he very much cares about that. He's like, if I'm going to be a
Exactly.
character, I got to
he needs to have a reason.
Yep.
it can't
and
just
I
be
think-
commercial.
Yeah, because when we're first introduced to Hans, like one of his purposes, I mean, apart from his like physical purpose on getting them transport, all that,
Yeah.
is he complements the other characters so nicely. He creates that lighter sense that kind of,
He's a
it's
foil
a
for
kids
Luke.
movie.
Yeah.
Well, it's also a kids movie. You need someone who's like funny and relaxed.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
Luke is like Luke in my head is that homeschooled kid who's
Yeah.
like living by
Yeah.
himself, and
Yeah.
Han is just like, okay.
And writing-wise, Luke is the boring chosen one character.
Yeah.
He is the self-insert. He has very little personality, and
Exactly.
he's relatable to young kids who are like, I just
Exactly.
want to play games after school.
yeah.
Whereas Han Solo is like that cool
Yeah.
character who foils well to Luke, and he's
Yeah.
like, I care about myself, kid. You're nothing. Kind of.
Yeah, and it's kind of that middle bridge between Leia as well, because
Yeah.
Leia comes from this incredibly sophisticated, like, is very, very knowledgeable, and like Hans is also very, very knowledgeable. But on the other side of things,
Yeah,
the
he's street smart.
dodgy- Yeah,
Yeah.
It's just
on the point of him not having much agency in Return of the Jedi, a lot of like original trilogy fans kind of
This is something we talk about a
they
lot. Yeah.
hate him in Return of the Jedi. because he doesn't do anything, and he's just like this goofy, like that face. I'm pointing at the board for the podcast listeners. That kind of Han Solo.
Yeah, because it's Leia and Han stuck on Endor with the what are they called? The Ewoks.
Yep.
With very little to do story wise, and it's a lot of them kind of dicking around while Luke and Vader and Palpatine are in the ship doing the main story stuff. Some of the behind the scenes of the writers talking about that process, they were like, yeah, we really cared a lot about that scene because it was the epic culmination of this whole good versus evil story we've been telling. And then there's also the planet with the Ewoks, and it's very silly. And that's the kid-friendly stuff, and they cared a lot less about that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, it's clear in the writing, it's clear on screen in the text as well. So.
But I feel like sometimes you need that character. Like, you desperately need that character. Like, you wouldn't be the same without him. Like, I feel like Star Wars is already pretty dark as it is.
There's a lot of really dark elements, and I think, a character like Han really serves to help embellish that and show that there's people who are kind of neutral and kind of in the grey area, and they can be pushed to the light as well. And he's good to have that around.
Before we do move on, I just want to say, look,
go for it.
I do like Han Solo, just for the record. I think he is it's this cool guy. I do like Chewie more. I think Chewie's more interesting. I would love to learn.
Chewie's more interesting?
I would like to learn more about Chewie.
Oh, you feel like there's more like to dive into?
Absolutely, there is. We see him in Return of the Jedi. We know that he was enslaved. We know he has a family still. There's so much.
He's also
more
like 100 years old. He's so old.
He's really cool. And he's a fucking Wookiee, so Han is cool. Don't worry, I like Harrison Ford. Anyway,
we all love Harrison Ford. We're gonna dive into Article 1. What went wrong with Han Solo? Can't really talk about Chewbacca because
we can talk about it a little bit.
What went wrong with him? He's so cool. But what went wrong with Han Solo? I have a pretty intense list, so let's get into it. Who wants to start?
I feel like going back to what we were saying with the original 3, in the fact that he feels like he's the comedic relief. I feel like it works in the 3, but by the point you get to this movie, you're like, surely you can give him more. Whereas at this point, it's just so blaringly obvious that he has these comical reliefs, and I feel like it falls into a lot of the same trap that we're seeing in the MCU when it's just comical thing after comical thing after comical thing to the point where they just kind of cancel each other out,
and they
you're just
undercut these emotional moments.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there's that. I got a point that leads directly off of that. So he starts out the movie ostensibly washed up and sad, but this isn't explored at all. He's straight up, his son has been a mass murderer for 6 years-ish, and he's divorced from his wife, and he's gone back to smuggling on the Outer Rim. He's a washed-up loser. But they don't explore it at all. He and Leia reunite, and nothing has changed between them. They're still, there's love there. It's fine. It's the same characters. And they literally exist in that scene to exposit information about the story to the audience. And it's such a waste. That he should have been a washed-up loser and then becomes a good character again.
Like, let him go through the same arc again and let him work for it.
And that's not even what we want to do with our rewrite. But it's if they were going to use that character in Force Awakens, any semblance of justice, and then have him die at the end, it would have been much more satisfying if he was actually a piece of shit and not just Han Solo that we remember.
For the record, it makes zero difference. They're just separated.
Like Leia.
Yeah, and Leia and Han. Yeah.
They go back.
Oh, like, not
they're not
officially divorced.
They're just separated. Yeah, just haven't spoken in years.
You know what? That actually is worse in my mind.
Right.
Should be hardcore. They should have divorced. I don't know.
But also considering that the fact that their divorce must have had such a with everything that happened with Kylo, and obviously their relationship together leading up to the divorce would have had an effect on Kylo. That's what's so frustrating.
He should start Force Awakens the way they wrote it with Kylo Ren and the way it was, with his head on a bar counter, with an empty bottle of some space whiskey next to him, and he's drunk. And that should be how he starts the movie.
It'd be awesome if the first thing you hear in the cinemas is just the bum 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 ba-dum, bum bum.
But it's just one guy now. It's just Max Rebo, and it's real sad. It's just Han and Max Rebo in a bar together, and he's like, Max, play it again.
Also, quick thing, full credit to the YouTube channel So Uncivilized.
Okay.
What's his video? His sequels.
The anti-trilogy?
Star Wars, the anti-trilogy, because he sums up Han best, I think.
Oh man, we love So Uncivilized. He's a fantastic video essayist. You got any notes, Molly?
Things that are wrong with Han?
Yeah.
That hasn't already been said. Yeah, of the 3 main characters from the original trilogy, he's the one that seems like should be the least of the mentor of the 3 of them. He's got the least,
and they put him in the mentor role.
Yeah, and it's when they're trying to recreate but not recreate A New Hope, it's like, how are you going to have someone who doesn't have the Force teach Rey about the Force?
Oh yeah.
And then I've heard so many other explanations of Luke sees Obi-Wan die on the Death Star, later goes on to talk to Obi-Wan through the Force, use the Force to blow up the Death Star, and they've got those events in Force Awakens coinciding where it's Rey sees Han die, Han can't talk to her in the Force, and then anyway, it's a whole
those things perfectly it was supposed to be mirrored so that Harrison Ford, Han Solo, was the new Ben Kenobi to Luke, and Rey would be the Luke in the situation, and then he's training her and he encourages her. She sees him die. God.
Han Solo could have been anyone's mentor. Why not Poe? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's-
out of the one, he's gonna connect.
That's one of my notes for later on. In talking about the trio, though, of Leia, Luke, and Han, they never reunite at all. You never see them on screen at the same time, the three of them, and that, I think we all agree, that this is essential to a faithful rewrite of the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, it
At
should.
least one scene of the three together.
As long as it matters.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
of course it has to matter. Every scene really should matter and,
Yeah.
and propel the story forward, but...
The way I've heard a lot of people talk about it is like they want to see them together. It's like, give us a reason. And I feel like a lot of Star Wars fans out there just want it for fan service.
Yeah.
They want to see them together again, in which case I'm like, go rewatch the original trilogy.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to
The
see. But-
idea of fan service comes up a lot on this show, and I understand what you mean. I think there is a way to do fan service well, and to service your fans in a way that respects them and the IP and the content and the characters, and creates a good story. Because you want to be serviced as a fan in these silly projects and these silly stories that are about like wizards in space, but you want to see it done well in a way that doesn't feel like when fucking Lando comes on screen. We talked about this the other day with the Lando episode. Yeah, we know C-3PO. It's like, yeah, we also know, as the audience, we also know what's happening here. We're not fucking stupid.
So also though, you mean to tell me in 30 years, Han never tried Chewie's bowcaster? Never tried using
That's
that?
my next note.
That's your next note?
I fucking hate it. Not a fan of the crossbow bit with Chewie. I thought that was weird. That's my note.
That's a bit of your MCU humor. And it
Yes.
pays off. It's funny, but it's also like,
It's
Was it
funny at the
worth
cost
it?
of not making
Yeah.
any sense. You
Yeah.
know? And I think that ties back to your
Yeah.
point, Emily, where it's like
Yeah.
this funny bit it's
But
like
at
they're
what
just
cost?
throwing these comedy bits at the wall.
And like to a point, that's fine with Han because that's what he is. But it's to the point where it's like, because Han is smart. Like he's dumb, but he's smart.
yeah,
you know.
he's reckless. But,
Yeah.
Something they very much succeeded with in the original trilogy. We love the style of humor they had in the original trilogy. And it's all moments of dialogue between characters in between action scenes.
Yep.
You never get an MCU moment where it's halfway through an action scene and they look up and they go, the Gimli moment from Lord of the Rings where it's like, that's 9.
Yep.
And they're all counting their kills and stuff. That feels like MCU to
Yeah,
me. And as
yeah.
much as we love Lord of the Rings, that's outside of the scope of this show. But that feels like an MCU moment to me, I guess.
The moment that comes to mind is so A New Hope was set up. You know, it's like, oh, this is Leia. We see her in a few scenes. The princess that we're trying to rescue. We rescue her, and she's this really powerful presence on screen. She says, "Can someone get this walking carpet out of my way?"
Oh
and
my
Han's
God,
like,
she's fantastic.
"No reward is worth this."
No reward is
So good.
That's a brilliant line of dialogue. Even the moment where he's like, I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah.
Oh,
And then he
that's-
shoots. Boring conversation anyway. That's just brilliant dialogue. It's so iconic for a reason. It's because
Yeah.
it's in character
Yeah.
and it's things that they would do. But it's like, how can we just ramp this up a little
Yeah.
bit? How can we take this to
So-
a 10? Not necessarily an 11.
Yeah.
I feel like my favorite scene between Han and Leia is when they're walking through, and we got to watch it in class. And they're walking through. It's got to be on Hoth.
Oh, yeah. The
And
whole.
they're walking through, and he's like baiting her into being like, "Come on, you don't want me to leave." Like it just encapsulates their characters so good.
They use that at uni? In a uni class?
Yeah, they
Oh, that's
do.
fantastic.
Well, because it was directing and acting, like the actions, and he's
Yeah.
like, "What is he trying to
Right.
do with each line?"
and they do some
it's
fantastic
so-
blocking in that scene too, as they like
so
move between
good,
the
exactly.
ice hallways and stuff.
And it just like so perfectly encapsulates Han Solo's character of, I know what's going on, but I'm not gonna say it. Like,
And they're both
Yeah.
doing that to each other.
Yeah.
There's so much subtext to everything that they're saying in that scene.
exactly.
It's a good scene.
And subtext you just don't get anymore.
While we're back on Empire, just quickly, I want to talk about something. So I know I've read the comics, so I know that Han and the gang were busy between episodes 4 and 5. 3 years passed. He didn't get his money back to Jabba.
Mm.
He had it coming. Getting apprehended by
Melo's on
Boba.
the side of debt collectors and Pinkertons.
Well,
He thinks-
maybe just pay your debt, Han Solo. You've got the money.
Oh, my
It
thing
doesn't
is,
take that long to fly to Tatooine.
well, my question is, if he doesn't have the money and he's skilled and he cares about himself, why wouldn't you not try to, I don't know, kill Jabba?
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm like,
Just take a hit out on Jada.
Oh.
Just go
Do
get
it.
him. Okay, yeah, so that's a bunch of stuff we've covered. I've got one more note. His son kills him, seemingly sealing Kylo Ren's fall to the dark side forever. And I think that's not very good. That moment itself, and like, you know, that we get the scene together, and obviously the two actors are bringing the heat, but I don't know, if you really break it down, what's the point of that? Because it seals Kylo Ren's fate as an evil person, and then later on he goes to get redeemed and stuff, and it just doesn't feel good.
Well, does it? Because I think that's open to interpretation. Did it make him more evil, or was it the thing that split his soul?
So Ryan Johnson took it that way.
Yeah.
In the second movie, in The Last Jedi, it's like, oh, your soul is split. I can feel your weakness and everything. But on the page, he's killed Han Solo.
Yep.
How can we, as the audience, ever trust him again? I guess in the way that they set it up. I don't know. I don't know if
well,
I'm fully getting across what I'm trying to say.
Well, I think the issue with that and how, like, if it does split his soul or if it does make him truly evil, that would only help if we knew about their relationship before and if that relationship had been established.
Thank you. You've saved my ass. Thank you so much.
That's the only way. Like, if you'd actually seen how close they were, then maybe you can truly go.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yes. that was what my feeling was, but I didn't have the words. Thank you for saving me. So that's exactly it. We don't see their relationship until that very moment, and then Kylo Ren kills him, and
You're just
we get
like,
the rest of the movie.
waste.
How did he lose the Falcon? You don't just lose the Millennium. It's
I mean,
not like-
Lando did.
yeah, but like, very actively in a game,
True.
wagered your ship. Lando deserved to lose the
Yeah.
Falcon.
I would really like it to be in the dumbest way possible. Like a hangover type thing.
Right.
Like he wakes up, gone.
Where's the Falcon? Yeah, no,
I had
that's
so
great.
much spice last night.
Oh god. Oh god. What is spice in this story?
Drugs. It's drugs.
Yeah, drugs, but is it like cocaine? Is it what is it?
No.
I reckon it's more,
More
more
than
than
cocaine.
cocaine.
It's
Yeah.
cocaine
It
on
seems like
cocaine.
It seems
Yeah.
like a pretty serious kind of thing. Anyways.
Hey, you want to buy some death sticks?
Yeah, so what's even death sticks? Are they just like cigarettes?
Yeah, no, more. There's spice in death stick form.
There's
I
spice
guess.
in death sticks.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I want a death stick.
I mean, calling cigarettes death sticks is pretty to the point, isn't it?
I mean, yeah.
Quite apt.
Effective marketing, if
Look,
anything.
Lucas has never tried to be subtle,
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
that's I think pretty well rounds out all of our issues. Unless you got anything, any final notes before
Let's
we move
have
on?
some issues on Chewie.
Oh yeah, well,
I
what
think
have you got? What
we
have you got?
can. Okay, let's just go kill/not kill off Chewie in episode 9, because
That's fair. That is a good moment that
Yeah.
sucks. Yes,
Yeah.
fair point.
For a guy who's constantly referenced his violence, I wasn't seeing enough violence.
That's a good point.
You don't want to lose against a game against
Note
him. He'll
for-
rip off his arms. Where is the violence? I want to see him rip off his arms.
Note for rewrite: must rip off someone's arms in the script.
Yeah,
somewhere.
I want to see the strength they keep talking about. Like you kind of have Chewie as this bodyguard throughout. Like he's some scary guy. You see him throw some stormtrooper. Like you see violence. I want to like see a full scene where you really just get to see how terrifying.
also with Chewie in terms of like the context of, so Han's kind of regressed in life and Chewie's just there with him along for the ride. Chewie has a family. Chewie and
has a
Han
family?
go and liberate Kashyyyk after Return of the Jedi
Yeah, right.
and free what family he does have left. Why is he then back with Han doing stupid same old shit? He doesn't owe him a life debt anymore.
Yeah,
I feel like that shit's all been resolved now.
it's
Unless-
Han Solo's life. That's
Yeah,
the debt. It's for as long
yes.
as Han Solo lives, the debt.
Yeah.
And then once he dies, and
True, because
Because
they're
he's a
so
Wookiee.
much older.
yeah,
It's
he has
like,
another 200 years. He's like,
didn't
yeah,
someone say Han was like a pet to Chewie?
Yeah.
Han was like a little pet, and you're like, oh, I can't leave my little guy out here all alone.
that's very
Yes,
funny.
He's
I've
pretty
never heard that.
defenseless
Got
without
put
him.
in cement last time.
Okay, so of course, as much as Chewie loves Han, and so, then seeing Kylo Ren kill him, he's going to take that shot. It's played off as this, immediate knee-jerk reaction. That can't have been easy for him. That's his little boy. He was like Uncle Chewie to little Ben Solo. And obviously he's been corrupted and he killed his best friend, but he's just like, he does essentially shoot to kill. How would Chewie have felt? How would he have felt with, had he then killed Ben Solo in retaliation? We wouldn't get to explore that, would we? And also, Chewie doesn't get a hug from Leia in 7.
Oh,
Oh my god,
that's
how
the
could I
other
forget?
thing. Yeah. My other thing is, like, apart from Han and obviously Leia, can anyone else speak to Chewie after this? Or is Chewie just, like, alone?
Alone in a world
Oh.
that doesn't understand him.
I think by this point, Leia and Luke
Yeah,
both get him. Also,
it's a very sad
yeah,
thought though.
It is. Chewie and the Porgs, hilarious.
That's pretty fun.
I love it.
We haven't talked about Porgs at all on the
No,
show.
we haven't.
love Porgs.
Porgs are great. Porgs are good fun. Yeah, the whole going to cook the Porg. It's so funny. And then that he just makes friends with them. They make a nest and they all live in the Falcon. Chewie going off in the Battle of Crate, love it, fantastic. Rey's like, Chewie, like, Jesus Christ. Like, he's just going fucking just ape shit, and it's fantastic. Chewie the pilot, not just the co-pilot, Chewie the pilot, finally. Love
Yeah.
to see that, because he's a fantastic pilot.
That's all we've been waiting for Han to die. Just
Yeah.
for Chewie's moment.
No,
No, it's important to remember that he is a good pilot, and we can use him in scenes where there requires like a good pilot
Yeah.
and like a good space action scene.
shove him in an X-Wing so his knees are up to his chin.
That's funny.
Yeah.
No, that's a good moment. I like that. Article 2, fix pitches.
Yep.
What are we going to do with Han and Chewie in the sequel trilogy? How are we going to make it work?
Okay, so as I've said, it's like I think Han has the least sort of relevance as a mentor of the three characters.
Yep.
So against the wishes of Harrison Ford, we're not just gonna have him have a big presence in this film just to kill him off, just for the sake of it. If we were to kill him off, it'd have to be for a reason. Basically, I've got him sidelined because he doesn't have a whole lot of relevance in this first story.
Okay.
I don't have a lot for him or Chewie to do in 7 currently. And I'm not going to try and force him in there. Maybe in the third act, like I feel like he can be like we've got different versions in our treatment stuff where he can be like, one of the heroes or one of the people who the heroes go to be able to get back to Leia and getting reunited, fighting whatever evil they're fighting. There's not a whole lot for him to do in 7.
And what is he doing for you? Because you mentioned that you've kind of restarted some of your treatment ideas.
Yeah.
What is he doing?
Currently, he's doing nothing.
He's just there?
Not really.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Mela, I'm going to go ahead and ignore whatever you've done so far because we've kind of got a in the first like 9-10 episodes of this show, we've got like a sort of progression of where we've been going. So we'll just stick to that while on camera today. And
That's fine. I mean, I can talk about that and where it was going. If you
Yeah,
want.
we'll do that.
Yeah. So it's like at some point we have the heroes because they're in the outer reaches, some sort of outer rim, trying to get to
Han to give Leia a message across like into the core world.
Well, yeah, you know, if they don't have enough fuel, say, to get all the way in, it's like, oh yeah, Poe knows a guy. And it's Han Solo, and eventually they make their way to Han Solo. And was it your idea? We had it repurposing Maz's castle on Takodana.
Yeah, so
Han and Chewie.
I love the idea that Maz Kanata's castle is run by Maz Kanata, which is an alias of Han Solo, and he's wearing the Bosch mask from Return of the Jedi.
Brilliant.
Oh, Emily likes it.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing Han like his whole life still kind of having the money thing, and just the idea of him owning a castle is him just being like, this is my goal in life, this is perfect,
I finally have some money.
I finally have some money. And he just wears robes everywhere.
Oh, you
It's
think
the
he goes to
jackets-
Lando with it?
Yeah, I think
Interesting.
I think that's why him and Lando secretly Lando's like the more like outspoken and lavish, but I think Hans is lavish. I just don't think he shows everyone. I think secretly he walks around in a robe, and I believe that to my soul.
It'd be really funny if we get a scene where outwardly in the bar where he's running it, he's in this disguise, he looks kind of run down like some grimy dude, and then you go to his private quarters,
Yeah.
and he is in nice robes and stuff.
100%. I feel
That'd be
like
really funny.
I feel like he'd also be. I really want Han to kind of be that bridge to the underworld
Yeah.
and not just break off that connection. Because it's kind of like in the original movies, he's like, we're with the rebellion now. I'm a good guy. Don't worry about the stuff I did back then.
Don't worry about my debt.
We don't need to worry about that dodgy stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I would really like, with all the political elements, him to kind of be a lot more involved in even reporting back to Leia on some level of what is happening in the Outer Rim.
That's where we've got him. So, Han should be running a bar in the Outer Rim. There, he is working with Poe Dameron to investigate the First Order. That's their mission. That's what they've been up to. Han Solo is Poe's kind of handler, because Poe is the young upstart. He's the pilot. He's running the jobs. And Han is kind of like the guy from Andor now, except less terrifying.
What's his name?
I forget what his name is.
Played by
Played by one of the
Skarsgård. Stellan Skarsgård.
Stellan Skarsgård's character in Andor, and he's running the show from behind the scenes kind of thing, and his people are out doing jobs and out doing like running missions and stuff, and that's Poe.
So, like, he has his own bar.
So he's running a bar in the Outer Rim, and so it feels like a natural progression for Han, right? He's running the bar, and
100%.
he's sort of in a bit more position of wisdom and control, and he understands a bit more of like what's going on, and he's a bit wiser and smarted up.
I did have some comments about the look. Something I've been saying
Yeah,
for a while.
it is.
Okay, so I had this very clear idea for his look is based more off like how it is in the concept art book and like the art of Force Awakens. More like Deckard Shaw, I think, from...
Rick Deckard, I believe is the name.
Rick Deckard?
I think so.
Who the hell's that?
Deckard
Okay.
Shaw is, I believe, the name of the character in Solo. His mentor,
That's
played
Beckett.
by... Is Beckett? Fuck. Who's Deckard Shaw? That's someone's name.
Can we...
I just turned off my phone.
That's right. Can we cut all of this out?
Yep.
Okay. Looks
Now
more
I'm-
like his character, Harrison Ford's character in Blade Runner with the long trench coat. The grey beard. Who's Deckard Shaw? I'm really mad at myself.
Deckard Shaw is the guy from Fast and Furious.
Yeah, I knew it'd be. That's who I thought it was.
He's Jason
yeah.
Statham from
Jason-
Fast and Furious.
Yeah, no, he looks like Deckard Shaw. No,
Oh, no.
cutting all of it out. He looks more like Deckard
Deckard from Blade Runner.
from Blade Runner. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Long trench coat, got the beard, a bit more grizzled.
Yeah.
Sort of a look. Yeah.
So now he can like swivel and reveal the gun.
He can, yeah.
Like,
full
um,
jacket.
Blue, big hat.
Blue big hat. Cad Bane.
Cad Bane.
Yeah.
Blue
That's the
big
vibe.
hat. Nice.
Yeah. Emily, you had a thought just before.
I did.
A pet.
A pet. Yes. A lot of bars that I've seen, a lot of different TV shows usually have some or other animal hanging around, specifically usually cats to get out mice, often seen on ships, but I think this would fit the same vibe for this bar. Does he have a pet in the bar, and is Chewie okay with it?
Oh, is Chewie? Oh, is Chewie? It's like Chewie's turf, you know?
Yeah, no, Chewie gives me jealous vibes.
I'm just going to quickly cover, just because we haven't really done this. Here's where we see, or here's where we have seen up until this point in terms of our progress for what we think Han will have an impact on the story. He's Poe's handler on the Outer Rim. He's working with Leia. They're still together. They're just separated by distance only. And Leia is worried about Han and Poe, obviously. Han and Poe are working together. They come, they crash land sort of thing. They get to the castle in Takodana. They meet up with Han and they say, hey, we've got to get this urgent message to Hosnian Prime where Leia is. Saying obviously the First Order is up to evil things. They get caught. Finn reports them to like Captain Phasma. She flies in. Huge battle ensues. So obviously there's some similarities there. But that is the first scene with Han. He's there to push the plot further. He is a side character. He's sort of a mentor character to Poe, but that doesn't seem to be super interesting because they're both side characters. That's very side story stuff. Then, when he comes back around, he's been captured by the First Order because they lose the fight. Poe escapes, but Han, Chewie, and Rey are captured together. And Finn, this is where he sees what the First Order is really about. He sees them torturing Han, Chewie, and Rey in some kind of fashion. Doesn't have to be too gruesome or anything, but this pushes Finn to kind of turn against the First Order and then rescue the three of them. And then we are probably going to see a banging action scene towards the end of the film where Han, Chewie, Leia, Luke are all fighting against the forces of evil at the end of the story. So far, that's kind of where our progress has been heading towards. Obviously, this is subject to a lot of change. I just thought we'd just cover the basics of what we see Han doing in the movie.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think it'd be really cool. 2 points. Back to the Clone Wars, there's this really cool scene where Dooku gets captured, and you know how they chain him up and they have like this kind of torturous thing. That's what I'm kind of picturing, like fully have them hanging in the air by like these cuffs. And
Who's
just a
torturing
lot more
Dooku?
The
in
pirates.
Clone Wars. Yeah,
Hondo's pirates.
Oh, cool. I hear a lot about Hondo Ohnaka.
Hondo-
Sandra's a big fan.
Hondo and Han would get along, or not.
That's
But
his
in,
friend.
like,
That's his friend in the underworld, surely, or like his key friend.
that is his.
Oh, you just made Sandra's day.
Yeah.
Because he's been wanting to find a way to bring Hondo Ohnaka into it. A really old Hondo
Hondo
Ohnaka.
never needs a reason, though. That's the thing. Hondo never needs a reason to be there, and
Hondo
he
is Hondo. Yeah.
Hondo is Hondo.
I like that though. That could be a connection that that Han has to the underworld, and he's like using that and leveraging that. That could be
Also,
cool.
when they get broken out, after Han's being tortured, is he getting broken out by Finn?
Finn and Poe together.
It
That's
would be
where they
really
come together.
cool. It'd be really cool to have it mirror the initial scene where Leia gets broken out. Like, I'd like to see some, like, that's ways you can do subtle call outs without it
Like a
being
little bit of a
too-
throwback. And
Yeah.
what we realized, the original trilogy films, and if you count on technicalities, the Fantastic
Fantastic.
The
Mr. Fox.
prequel trilogy also, they all have a prison break or a character rescue of some kind in all
look at
6 movies. And we're like, well, shit. Well, all of our movies got to have at least one character rescue.
Star Wars is a heist movie. That's all it is. Star Wars are just heists.
We kept coming back to the heist thing. It's got to happen.
I want to get a bit more into the nitty gritty of our version of Han, because whilst I'm still struggling with current relevance to him in the story.
We can dive into more character focus.
Yeah, absolutely. Specifically, I want to talk about, let's go back in time a little bit. So the idea of Ben starting Jedi training comes up. How does Han Solo react to that?
Ah, that's interesting. Is he pro or against?
I feel like just skeptical. Just be like, oh yeah, go have fun at your little magic school. Because how much has Han actually seen of the Force specifically? Not lightsabers, not like physical hand-to-hand combat. The Force.
Good question.
Not much.
Nothing on screen.
In the films, yeah. And let's
Like,
just take the
nothing-
films. Yeah.
Nothing that would make you truly go, oh my god. Like I feel like this guy is still very much spectacle going, okay, yeah, you have lightsabers, but
Yeah.
I'm yet to see.
Kind of reminds me of, like, he seems like a character who, with Luke's ability to, hey, watch this, and then he levitates something in front of Han. He'd be like, cool, don't do that again in front of me. I don't like that.
Yeah.
He just, shuts it out. He's like, I don't want to challenge my beliefs and my reality. I'm just going to fucking ignore you.
Yeah.
I don't like to think about hyperspace and how it works. I just do it.
Yeah.
It's just my reality.
The idea that, like, imagine when he's like, I'm sorry, you're seeing what dead people around here? Like, his idea is so self-based.
Yeah.
That the idea of there being something beyond that, like, I just...
Despite his ability to overcome his own greed and avarice, he's able to, kind of be introspective and go like, oh, I should be a better person. I should be kind and nice and, stick up for my friends and have values. But he's not going to be the kind of person who challenges his own beliefs on what reality is. And his reality would be challenged by the idea that Luke is a Force user. And I feel like he would be resistant to that idea. And he'd be resistant as well to Ben learning to do those things, maybe.
Right. Because you're saying, like, he doesn't, like, Luke being a Force user, what effect does that have on Han?
Han's just like, he's just Luke. He's my buddy. He also has a lightsaber. I don't think about the other stuff.
I'm like, yeah, like, but he does say, and I'm sure this is more of just just that nice moment that was. He says, "May the Force be with you" to Luke when he's about to leave in A New Hope.
Yeah.
And I think it's more of a, I think
That's
of that
more of
a
being sweet, I think.
Yeah, I think it's more of a, like, I might not believe in your religion, but this is a nice thing in your religion.
Exactly. It's a nice thing to say.
Yeah.
And it shows that I'm still like your friend and I
I'm
believe
here to
in you.
support you no matter what.
So I think that at some point, the idea of Leia training the Force would have come up. I think Han would have been very resistant to that.
Yeah.
I felt. So he would have been like trying to raise his opinions, trying to like turn her away from it. And if Leia decides not to go with that route, it's not because of him.
No,
And there would have been
absolutely not. It never would be.
big point of argument there where he's like almost trying to tell her what to do. Let's go back to like, these films were written in the fucking 70s and 80s. It's like, I have a point here of like, Empire is a perfect film, except the kiss is a bit aggressive.
It's a bit aggressive. It is.
It's a bit aggressive.
Yeah, we don't like that.
No.
Yeah.
So then he would have tried to bring that up, and she's like, "No, fuck off.
I'm going
If
to do
I-
exactly what I want to. And
Yeah.
if I don't want to be a Jedi, it's because of what I think, not
Yeah.
what you think.
Yeah.
I feel like it also just scares him. Like, especially
He's scared of what he doesn't understand,
because again, like Leia is still the daughter of the guy who had the Force, went crazy, killed a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
And now he's practically sending off his child to the son of like that.
And I think there is some of that. He has seen how these family kind of circles can be destructive, and how like Luke's father was a bad dude, Leia's father was a bad dude, and this
And he
cycle of
no
violence
longer
been-
has control over making sure that his son will not be a bad dude.
Yeah, and he's seen the cycle of violence continue, and he's like, I don't want my son to be a part of this.
I think it's mostly opposed.
Yeah.
Honestly, to Ben training, and they eventually just
It feels like he would be. In my head as well, I've got it that Leia goes and trains with Luke for a bit, disagrees on the philosophy, and then
Mhm.
eventually leaves. She knows like some Force stuff, but she's not a Jedi. She doesn't believe in the religion. She's like, no, I'm a senator. I'm a general. I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna lead my way.
I feel like the pacifist nature of the Jedi would definitely annoy Leia.
She
Just being like, what do you mean you can't actively go and help? You
yeah,
can.
you can't fight. What are you
Do
talking
it.
about? Yeah.
exactly yeah, pacifism.
Especially like Clone Wars politics. Like I feel like she'd definitely be like, yeah, well the Jedi kind of were pawns of them. Like,
Exactly. So when Leia decides ultimately to leave, Han would be stoked. He'd be like, yes. And even though he's been told very clearly, this is not about you,
Yeah.
it's about me, he would still be very
Yeah.
happy about it and upset when Ben goes to
Yeah.
learn.
The question, I think Ben goes quite late in life. I think
Okay.
like around the age of puberty, and I think it has to be incited by something. Something has to happen.
Some kind of force of
Dreams.
change.
Yeah, it had to be some maybe dreams, maybe some
Maybe
Yeah.
early signs of the Force, and it's like, okay, Ben clearly has the Force.
Yeah, yeah, he's got the
quite
Force, for
powerful,
sure.
Yeah.
No,
but something
I
maybe.
agree with you. Like something that Han's like, oh, I can't help here.
Yeah.
Like I'm now at the point where it's out of my reach, and it's like he really doesn't want to admit that.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
like, oh, there's only one person who can.
And as we know, starting late in life and training the Force can be very tricky.
Too old.
Mm.
Too old.
Okay, so like I've pitched this before. I know you and Sandra were a massive fan of it, but I still think leaving off in Return of the Jedi, where we last see Han, he is this rebellion hero. He's this leader. He's a fantastic pilot. I think Han started a flight school.
Oh, yeah. I think we talked about this, I think. Was it in a different episode?
Yeah.
We talked about, I like the idea that he founded the flight school, but he's not a teacher. I never imagined him as that way, but continue.
Old man Maverick, Han Solo,
Yeah, he's got a bit
teaching
of
the
Maverick vibes.
youngins, and he's still better than them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he's gonna run the sim and he's gonna crush it exactly like Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, I love the idea that he's obviously the reason that Ben is a fantastic pilot.
Yes.
In our version, like he
Yes.
taught him how to fly. But that he was an old mentor to Poe as well.
Yeah. So yeah,
Uh-huh.
we already. Yeah.
So,
I feel
yeah.
like if he takes that flight mentor route, like he's kind of has everything Anakin could have had. Like, especially with the whole like flight, like as a kid, you know, Anakin's like a great pilot and all that. Like the more we're developing hands, I'm like, wow, Han really got everything Anakin wanted.
Yeah, just
Life.
not having to do the stupid Jedi shit.
Yeah. Just a cool pilot who explores the galaxy,
Yeah.
does whatever he wants. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I had a thing on Chewie, and just in his look. Obviously, they live to be like 400 years, Wookiees. And he's like, 190 years old, comes Solo. He's past middle age by the time we get to this film. I like the idea that he's starting to grey just a little bit.
Yeah, I like that
We
too.
need a bit of age in Chewie.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he does look.
How though? Like-
Just I think let's take humans as an example. Where do you start to grey first? Like it's like your chin and you sort of like around
Yeah.
your ears. So maybe we do a similar bit, and maybe I don't know, just because he's obviously full body fur, just a bit on the
Yeah,
the
just
shoulders
like
and the
little
arms
patches
or
of bits of
something.
grey. Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little silver.
That's a nice touch. And then
Um,
he can be similar to Han in that way. They're both looking a bit old and grizzled.
Yeah. So currently, that's a lot of my character breakdown stuff.
Yeah.
Questioning for Han. Anyone else got
Yeah, I've got some more
questions you
stuff.
want to raise?
I thought we could potentially explore Han's relationship with Poe, a father-son relationship that might cause tension between Han and Ben, who is
Mm.
training with Luke to become a Jedi.
That'd
So
be
I
cool.
thought there might be a place to put that tension there. Again, they're both side characters. Neither of them have an arc. Neither of them are super important to the story. They're meaningful, but they're not exactly filled with change or potential in
Yeah.
my mind. So it's hard to imagine like a world where that could be explored well in this movie. But
I'm just checking. Is this in this series? Is this one where Kylo can like physically see where they are? Like,
What do you mean?
you know how he has the visions of Rey, and in the movies, like if we are going with that, I think it'd be a really good seed to start seeding in that jealousy with Kylo. Like he goes to check in what's happening with his father, what's happening with all that, and he just sees like Poe constantly. and it just kind of builds up
Ah,
that
so he's like meditating, trying to see like, I want to see my dad. If
yeah, I
he's-
want to
if he's
see my
okay.
family, and he just keeps seeing this other
This other like
person.
young guy.
exactly training, doing exactly what he's supposed to be. Like it's the kind of, you sent me away just to replace me, dude. What the
That's interesting.
hell?
That's interesting. Or maybe, Ben chose not to go that way. He's like, no, I want to go with Luke. I want to learn the ways of the Force. And then it feels like a maybe retaliation
Yeah.
from Han to pick like, oh, I'll get another successor.
yeah.
Then I'll
Okay.
get another
Then
prodigy.
bet.
And obviously that isn't the case, but maybe Ben might see it that way. There's something there. Just throwing ideas out. I don't know if that's got any legs, but yeah. Han, yeah, like I said, should be a triagonist in the film, supporting the stories of Poe, Finn, and Rey in their journey towards the center of the galaxy. Han and Chewie should get captured by the First Order alongside Rey and are later freed by Finn and Poe. In the second movie, I love the idea of Han punching Luke in the face. He blames Luke for Ben's fall to the dark side.
Yeah, we always had this idea, this real vivid one of just Han just
Angry Han just decking
suckling
Luke.
right across
It's just
Luke's
a fun
jaw.
moment, and I feel like
Like he gets straight off the ship and just walks up to him.
yeah. So
No introductions, no hellos, just
So in the first
Valid.
movie, they might come together for an action scene or something like that. I was playing with this idea earlier, but the movie ends and Luke is going off to search for Ben, and Ben has been taken by Palpatine. Then we start the next movie after 6 months to a year, and Luke comes back. He's failed. He hasn't found Ben, and he's like, he gets off the ship. He's real sad, and then the first thing Han does, he just walks up, decks him, and that's the start of the scene. And then it all builds up from there.
You know, I would love to see, like, we don't even see Han. Like, we see Leia come up to Luke and she hugs him and then steps away, and then there's Han.
Just a fist.
yeah, just straight up fist.
It's a very Indiana Jones style shot. Yeah, I can
Yes.
see it. But yeah, so that's what I've been imagining. Just bits and pieces of Han's story. And I really like that scene. I like the idea of Han and Luke having that tension because it feels very true to their characters, even though they have come so far and it's been 20 years since the original trilogy. There's still that old kind of rivalry. There's still that old kind of, they're almost brothers a lot of the time in the sense of they're bickering and they're fighting. And they feel like family in the dysfunctional sense, even though there is love there.
I mean, especially, like, you even see, like, that childish kind of nature when, like, Han's like, do you think a princess like that could fall? No. Like, it's
Yeah,
the immediate,
exactly,
like,
exactly.
it's that kind of.
And the kiss in, I think it's A New Hope or Empire, one of the two, where Leia leans down, kisses Luke, he's injured, and then he leans back like this, like
Empire,
the
yeah.
happiest cat in the world.
Yeah.
It's just like the brotherly competition.
Yes,
turned
exactly.
Twisted.
And then so you get to that moment where these, two brothers, and one of them has a kid, the other one doesn't. The one who doesn't have the kid loses the kid.
Mm.
And the guy, he's like, you lost my kid, decks him in the face. That feels
Yeah.
like a pretty toxic man thing to do,
Yeah.
and I feel
But
like
I-
that fits with Han.
I think it also shows how much he actually cared for his son, like, no matter
Yes,
what.
yes.
It's a good, sweet moment.
do we get to have a scene with Ben and Han
Ben and Han.
in 7?
Oh, do we get a scene between them in 7? That's interesting.
Physically or, like, mentally?
I think a real
Because
like scene.
True.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's space for it. Sorry, at least in the treatment we've got going so far, with the progress we have so far, we have all his time is spent with Luke, and then he goes into the dark side cave and is somehow corrupted by the dark side of the Force, and then he goes off to seek answers from a Palpatine clone, and that's where he gets trapped at the end of the film, and that's where all of the climax centers around his story. And I don't know if what we've got so far, there's any space for that.
Yeah, I've got one question. Is there anything that solidifies Ben to the dark side?
Yes. What
Which
our current
moment?
idea is, the most recent idea, is that Palpatine is showing him the scene that one of your ideas, where it's Leia commemorating Bail Organa.
yeah, to the everyone.
So they're building a statue of Bail Organa and commemorating the loss of Alderaan however many years ago.
Yeah,
It's like the
and then-
anniversary. Hux gets up, says, I have evidence that your true father was Lord Vader, Anakin Skywalker. That all happens, and at the very peak of the tension in the scene, Ben Solo can see the projection of this across the galaxy and force chokes Hux in front of everyone.
I didn't know that was it.
And it looks like Leia is doing it.
Is
This
that-
was,
is that
I
what
think,
you've written that one. Though?
that's episode 9 of this show we
Well,
chatted
we were
about.
talking about him being there in person,
Did I just
killing Hux.
I've
think
just
this is-
invented all this. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So that's the progression we've kind of got to so far. That's one way it could play out.
Ben taking his first kill. pretty
First
much.
kill
Is
or first
my-
public appearance of dark side stuff.
How does Han find out about that? Because I feel like that's
It's a
the
huge
real,
moment,
that's
yeah.
the shift in their relationship from, oh my god, my son, to, oh my god, am I gonna have to, like, kill my son?
In terms of our first write of this series of progress we've been making so far, the climax of the story is very much the foggiest bit. So I don't have
Yeah.
any clear answers for you. I'm sorry. What was your original question?
That's such a good.
That's a
couldn't
good
tell
question.
you, couldn't tell you.
Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of where Ben gets to the end of the film, and finding a moment to have Han and Ben come together during there. Let's try and find something.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I feel like how they meet would depend on what
Yeah.
Han knows about Ben in that, like, moment of when he goes to dark side. If he kills him
Yeah.
How does he confront someone he raised who's a killer?
Yeah.
Like, how does he?
And do you feel like that should be like the first scene they have together, or should they meet before Kylo Ren has that fall or Ben has that fall? Should there be a moment where they're
I
like,
feel
"Hey,
like-
father and son, there's a little bit of tension, but we still love each other."
No, I feel like they should have that gap because then Luke is the only thing
Yeah.
that Han ties to. Like, he's like, I sent my son to you. He became a serial killer. Like,
And
not
I
a
blame
serial
you,
killer.
and it's your
Yeah,
fault,
like,
and
he
you need to
became a
fix it.
killer.
Yeah.
Because the last time I saw my son, he was normal. Little sad, but normal.
a little bit angsty, but yeah.
So when he does eventually see him, he just doesn't recognize who this man is.
Yeah, and he not only, like, the Force is what he correlates to that.
Yeah.
As much as...
So we very much agree that a lot of the time spent by the original three characters, Leia, Han, and Luke, should be spent looking for Ben Solo and trying to save him from the Stark Force of the story. Very much the opposite of what we see in the sequel trilogy, where they don't care almost. Like, they
Yeah.
care, but it's like, oh, Snoke
Not
got to him.
Enough.
There's no
enough.
action. They're not taking any direct action to bring him back.
Yeah.
And we never see any of that. It's almost as if they gave up. And it's like, oh, it's one and done. He's evil now. And obviously, we think that's just a horrible mistake because Luke's character would never do that. Han wouldn't even let that happen. You
No.
know? So we want to see on screen like some kind of effort of their part to like, let's get Ben back, let's save him kind of thing.
100%.
Hey, that's maybe the heist. Maybe that could be the heist. They know
Yes.
that Ben's getting transported somewhere at some point. They've got to try and rescue him, but they get to the
Yes.
point. This is random, but it's like I don't know, like the space train, and they get into the space train. They're in the compartment, and Ben has been so thoroughly radicalized that Han, Leia, and Luke have no effect on him, trying to convince him
Literally.
and bring him back. It's like, no, everything you're saying is a lie. You're lying to me, and you've been lying to me for years. You didn't
Yeah.
even tell me who my grandfather was. The only one who's told me the truth is Palpatine.
100%. I think it'd be
There's
a
something.
really...
I just
it'd be-
have it.
No, I 100%. I think it'd be really, really cool if we could even get a mirror of the Darth Vader classic Red Ignition. Like,
Oh,
they pop into one
shit.
of the train cars.
Yeah.
They're all looking down. It's like the three lined up, and then you just see like smoke come up and just.
And maybe he's been given that lightsaber as a gift, and he's like, "I'm
Yeah.
never going to use this, Palpatine. You're evil."
Yeah.
But then you have that scene with those three original characters, and he looks
Yeah.
at him and is like, "You've been lying to me the whole time." And then he
Yeah.
ignites the red lightsaber.
Yeah, and it'd be
That could
cool
be
if we
pretty
could get
sick.
a shot of Luke's saber and then his saber. That'd be cool.
And then they know there's no way we can bring him back right now. We have to just run away and not
Yeah.
let him like hurt us, kind of thing. So it's not even
Exactly.
about them fighting him and trying to win. They're finding
Yeah.
him trying to get away without him like damaging, like
yeah.
doing something he'll regret.
Even a moment, I mean, if we really, really want to call it back, you could even do like the Force choke on Leia and mirror the scene at Mustafar with
Oh
Padme.
shit!
Like, if we're doing a real callback and stuff like
Yeah.
that, really imaging, like, I am my grandfather. Like, he found out he's his grandfather and he's like,
and he
guess
force
I'm
chokes
going.
all three of them at once.
Why not? Like, if you're going to go full evil.
There's
may
some
as well.
there's some super interesting stuff there. It'll be good to review this back and see if we can piece anything from this crazy nonsense. But we're getting to the later end of the show now. So Mel, if you want to hit us with anything. Any
Article
other final notes?
2.5 is what I hit my his with.
What's 2.5? Oh, let's write us in.
Yeah, I think we
Okay,
got time.
We'll fit it in. We'll do
Yeah.
a quick one. Yeah.
Okay, so like going with our original ideas, I had this bit where kind of the First Order get to Han Solo first.
The First Order gets there.
First Order gets
Okay.
there first
Let's
before
run
the
it.
heroes get to Han, and it's just like
It's a trap.
The heroes walk into the castle, and it's full of First Order troops, and Han is sharing a beer with a First Order officer,
Oh, dude, that's actually really interesting.
and Han's like, "Here they are,"
That's really cool.
and the whole thing was this misdirect because all their drinks have been spiked.
Dude, we've got an
Yes.
Inglorious Bastard scene here where it's
Yeah.
Han trying to outmaneuver the First Order troopers. They walk in, the whole bar is just filled with First Order troopers,
Yep.
and they're all just staring at the three main
Yep.
trio.
And because our
This
version,
is Ray, Poe, and Finn is
yeah,
the trio.
and because our version of the First Order isn't this one that would be, violently against Han Solo, maybe against Leia, but not against Han
Ah.
Solo. Han Solo's this guy out.
He's
in
just
the-
a guy.
you know, He's
Just a
just
guy.
a guy out there.
So they're walking through to the bar, and there's one maybe Captain Phasma is
Yeah.
there because that would be
Yeah.
the
Or
main
maybe he's not Han
antagonist.
Solo. Maybe he's your version of like the
Maz
the
Kanata.
alias wearing the
Yeah.
mask.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got the alias of someone like Han Solo disguised as someone else is having a drink with Captain Phasma, and he's like, "Hey, this is all a big misunderstanding." Ray, Poe, and Finn have to come into the scene and try and also outmaneuver, but they are woefully inequipped to do that. Ray has no idea what's going on. Finn is on Captain Phasma's side, and Poe is on Han's side, and he's trying to like.
He's really
fix-
confused as to why he's
Yeah.
being sold out by his old
Yeah.
master.
So he's trying to like also outmaneuver, and it's like a 5-way outmaneuvering.
Yeah.
They're all just standing in a circle, the Spider-Man point thing.
Yeah, they're all
It's just
pointing at each
that
other, yeah.
staring at each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah, and imagine this montage that's where it's like, they're all laughing, all the First Order, they've got the jump on them, they're laughing, their drinks are clinking, and they're drinking, and the hero character's like, what is going on? And we've been apprehended, and Han's like, ha ha ha, ha. And it all comes to a point where they all just like, one by one heads hit the table, they all
Oh,
pass, their drinks have been
shit.
spiked, they all just pass out,
And he's just straight up murked them. They're
Yeah.
just dead.
and then they're all passed out, and then he's like, helmet off. Okay, we gotta go quick. Right, we don't have
And then
much
it's an
time.
escape scene.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
no, that's really interesting. That's a really really fun pitch.
Is Chewie in that scene?
No, I've got a different thing for Chewie.
The mask
Okay.
comes off. It's actually Chewie the whole time.
Yeah, and it was a voice
Chewie can
regulator.
speak.
No, that's fun. That's fun. Yeah, well, if it's all right, I think we've got a bit of time. I'll run the scene the other way that we had.
Okay,
it, where, So in our original treatment, Rey, Poe, and Finn have crash landed on Takodana, and they've trekked overland to get to the castle, Maz Kanata's castle. And there, Finn doesn't know who they're meeting. Poe does, and Rey obviously doesn't. Rey doesn't know anything. And they get there. Poe goes into the cantina, and Poe's like, all right, I'm going to do my meeting. You guys, back off kind of thing. And Rey's like, all right, whatevs. And Finn is like, okay, suspicious. He's trying to investigate.
Yep.
Rey then feels the call to the Force, and she goes and investigates. She finds Leia's lightsaber, which has been left with Han. So
right.
this is one of her older ideas. I was reviewing some of the older stuff. And she finds the lightsaber at the same time that Finn encounters a clone of Palpatine in the bar who has been keeping tabs on Han Solo, potentially. Palpatine's like, hey, there's this secret vent that you can listen into the secret meeting on. Like, I've been collecting information or something like that. And points Finn in that direction. Is like, hey, if you want to eavesdrop on these guys, you can go here. And so Finn does that, and at the same moment that Rey has the lightsaber and ignites it, and Han explains everything. Like, this is Leia's lightsaber. You probably have the Force. Yada yada yada. Finn sees that, and at that moment, he sees the lightsaber. He sees Han Solo for the first time. This blows his mind, and despite the fact that he's conflicted, he can't help himself in that moment but call the First Order.
That's when he. That's when he.
And that's
right,
when he
yeah.
summons the First Order in.
Because we've been talking about him. Yeah, like at some point his programming gets the better of him. He freaks out and he just.
But what that
calls
allows
the
us in the
First Order.
story is that gets us to Poe successfully sends whatever message he wants to Leia through Han, who has the transponder or the long distance communicator, and that's the whole point. And then he's like, all right, we've all got to get to Hosnian Prime now, and they would do that if Finn didn't rat them out, because he saw all of this happen.
And that leads to them getting captured.
And then that leads to the big fight scene, and then Poe escapes in his X-wing. Han, Chewie, and Rey get captured, and Finn sees them get tortured on the way to Hosnian Prime.
We get this bit where it's like, so the bar's full of like, because I think we had the idea of that if they have this bar, it's not full of hard criminals, it's full of people who are more like original Han, just morally gray smugglers. It's like, no mass murderers of innocent people in here, but someone who like killed this one guy.
Oh, yeah.
Like in the Mandalorian with the guild bar.
Yeah.
And it's like all the
Yes.
Yeah.
More
No,
like
that's
that.
a really good reference. See,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, Mos Eisley Cantina or the Guild Bar on Nefasa? What the
Navarro?
Navarro,
Navarro,
thank you,
yeah.
Navarro. God damn it, idiot.
And so the First Order arrives, and then Han has to do this rousing speech to all these like smugglers to be like, get in your ships,
Yeah.
fight.
And they'll
We're
just go,
fighting
no, and
yeah.
they fly away.
They fly away. Well, I was thinking he's able to win them over.
Oh, okay,
Or,
okay.
or if,
Free
he's,
drinks
or if he's
on
not,
me.
free drinks for life.
He
Free
tries to do a
drinks.
rousing speech, and he's like, all right, fine, I'll owe you all a favor. I'll owe you a free drink or something like that. And
Yeah.
they're like, there it is. And
Yeah,
then they go
yeah,
fight.
yeah.
Oh, that's fun. There's a fun bit there, too.
To try and make a distraction, obviously
It'd
doesn't
also
work.
be awesome just to see Han with people like him, just in his element.
Yeah.
Just be like, yeah, he has this family, but this is also.
Like his network, his friends and
Yeah.
community almost. I like that. Also, another note just
Yeah.
about this scene. No Millennium Falcon would make any sense for them to be hiding or in disguise of any kind and have the Millennium Falcon be on this planet. It's got to be back in Hosnian Prime.
No, it's with Hosnian. Yeah. Either way, he never lost the Falcon. Why would he ever lose the Falcon?
No, he hasn't lost the Falcon.
No,
that makes
that
sense.
whole never liked that. But okay, yep, okay. I did have a thing for Chewie as
Go
well.
for it. Yep.
Chewie's not in this film.
Oh, not at all.
No, because as I've said, like with Seven, it's like, why was Chewie there? He's got a family. Chewie can be a really key resource to call on later. Say they need people to help fight. Say that we
Violent people.
Well, yeah, and say we finally need to recreate what was meant to happen in Return of the Jedi, where you call on the Wookiees, or like you land on the Wookiee planet, not the Ewoks, and we get the Wookiees involved.
Yeah, they were originally supposed to go to Kashyyyk
Yeah.
That would
for
be
Return of the Jedi.
awesome.
Yeah, or if they need a
action
hideout,
scene.
they go hideout.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that can bring us to the end of the show today. Thank you so much, guys. This has been really fun. Been fun to finally chat about Han and Chewie and dive into the kind of their part of the story. As small as it kind of feels like it is to us, very beloved character, and it's important that we kind of treat it with the importance that it deserves. In the original three, I think it's really important that we land as well as we can. But that's the end of our discussion today. Thank you so much for listening and watching, however you've consumed the show. Check us out on Patreon, our Linktree, Instagram, everywhere that you can find us online. Check out more of the show, give us a like and follow, all the good stuff. And until next time, may the Force be with you.